Hey, this is Russell Wayne from the Main Event 365, and this is the off-season edition. In this video, myself, Main Event Mike, the West Coast Stat Master, Gregg are going to talk about the Detroit Lions off-season. And if you share this video, you'll have a chance to win an NFL jersey on draft day for our draft special. So don't go anywhere.
How about those Detroit Lions? They finished 2022 at 9-8, just narrowly missing the playoffs. They finished with the 28th ranked defense. That's the points allowed category is how they rank that, and the 5th ranked offense, and that is the most points that they scored. So 5th ranked offense, 28th ranked defense. It stands to reason they are looking for defense, but they addressed it pretty well in free agency at nabbing 3 players in the back 7, along with Graham Glasgow and a running back, David Montgomery, who's one of the best tackle-breaking running backs in the league. So kind of break this down for me, guys. How are the Lions looking, and how do you grade their offseason as we go into the draft?
Well, look, let's just get straight to the point here. Our secondary was what I would describe as nothing short of horrendous last year. Okudah played exceptionally well the first half of the season, fell off somewhat the second half of the season. Jerry Jacobs came back, and he played well enough. Some might say Lions good, but I think Jerry Jacobs has a chance of being a decent corner. Look, the reality of it is, you guys, is thanks to good safety play, kind of being able to mask up some of our shortcomings at cornerback, our secondary was an issue last year. Our secondary playing so poorly, in my opinion, disabled our pass rush from working effectively at times. And look what we went out and did. Brad Holmes went out there and absolutely took command of the secondary for this free agency period. He went out there and grabbed Emmanuel Mosley, someone that not a lot of people are that high on. But look, if you take off the snap count, this guy ranked top 30 in PFF in cornerback ratings. And you can look at that and be like, oh, there's 30. Well, look, that is 2 other number ones from two other teams that he's better than. So you're bringing in Mosley to compete essentially for that number 2 corner spot. You brought in Cam Sutton, who is most definitely a top 20 corner, has great coverage grade. Everything you heard about him, he comes from that Steelers team, as well as Mosley coming from that Niners team, where their philosophy is playing defense and winning. I know with the Steelers, it was a little different last year, but like I said, the offseason articles from Tomlin, from everything you've heard about Cam Sutton, like this guy is a veteran leader and someone you want to bring in. And then let's just talk about the home run pick at safety or nickel, wherever you want to place him at, anywhere in the secondary. The guy just makes turnovers happen. He has that swag, and that's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Look, man, this guy, I was high on him last year when the Eagles essentially stole from the Saints for nothing. And we saw the results of how that helped transform what was an already good Eagles defense into something elite. Then we talk about Montgomery. Look, I've heard pros, cons about Montgomery. At worst case scenario, Lions fans, worst case scenario, this is a lateral move from Jamal Williams. I think David Montgomery is a lot more versatile, brings a little bit more to the table. And let's be real here, he's been playing behind a Division II offensive line his whole career. Let's give him a chance behind a real offensive line like we have here. Marvin Jones Jr., not super high on it at this point of his age. I think a lot of it is nostalgia. But you know what? He is a good deep threat. He can stretch the field. And defensive coordinators can't just absolutely ignore him. So in terms of offseason grade, I don't want to be a homer, so I'll say B+. There was a couple things maybe we could have done better. But for the money that we spent and the money that we had, I mean, on that alone, if you don't give us a B+, I don't know what to say.
I think that you're trying too hard to not be a homer. And honestly, it was like they did a bunch of really, really good moves. I love the restructuring that they did. Mike and I talked about this earlier when it was the Romeo, Vitae, and like Charles Harris type of thing. And everybody at the beginning of the offseason was like, cut him, we can save, blah, 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 all this X, Y, Z. And Mike and I were kind of like, no. I don't know what, I mean, you got to replace the guy. So the best absolute case scenario happened when all of them decided to take less money to stay, and they freed up the money that they would have freed had they have cut him, and actually a little bit more in a couple of the instances, and they were able to keep the player. That is so big. And then you bring another guy like Glasgow in there, and there you are with Vitae, who didn't give up a sack the last time that he suited up, by the way, and then Glasgow backing up all three of the interior positions. He's the old school center hiker. That's what I like about Glasgow. But I mean, he's an A plus. A plus to me, and the Chauncey Gardner put it over the edge, because that puts us not only as a division contender, but it also gives us a conference contender. That's the type of signing that I think Chauncey Gardner Johnson is, where you're bringing in a top 5 safety, a captain that you can put back there that Aaron Glenn coached in high school. It feels really, really, really good. And then you bring in Mosley and Sutton, and those guys played together. I mean, these guys already have chemistry together. Sutton is known as one of the smartest cornerbacks, maybe one of the smartest players in the NFL from a football IQ standpoint. I mean, I can't say enough about this offseason. And then we get to go in and do this draft.
I want to remind everyone out there who's watching, if you're watching this, that we are going to be broadcasting live from the Lions Den in a secret location. And we will be bringing you the 2023 NFL Draft as it happens within the legal limits to allow us to do that. We'll be giving you picks that as they come off the board. We'll be giving you an analysis, special guests. It's going to be a live event. That's Thursday, April 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Be sure to check us out, Facebook Live, the Main Event 365. And while you're at it, go over to our YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on Facebook. Yeah, and you know, C.J. Gardner-Johnson played with Anzalone and played under Aaron Glenn in New Orleans. So there's that chemistry, that familiarity that you're talking about right there, Russ, also. And they both went to the University of Florida as well. So there's definitely connections all around the field, and that's just the kind of thing I think you're going to get when you've got former players as coaches that can relate to the players. And they're really building something special here. And you know what? I'm going to change mine. It's a solid A. There's no minus in there. When you consider the Lions also have 5 picks within the top 100, one more than Chicago does. And they're at 6'18", 48, 55, and 81. So those are some solid draft capital there. And it's going to be very interesting to see what the wizard Brad Holmes comes up with on draft day to use all that capital and what he can parlay that into. It will certainly be interesting. Draft needs listed for the Detroit Lions: defensive tackle, linebacker, defensive end, wide receiver, tight end. I don't know that. I mean, if we don't get a wide receiver, it won't bother me. But if we do take Quentin Johnson or something great like that, that would be amazing as well. Gregg, what are you looking at? Just make me a prediction. Where do the Lions go with 6 and 18?
It is so up in the air, Mike. You know. You want to pinpoint it and say defensive tackle and defensive tackle. I look at it as our biggest need. But you look at this draft, you know, and I'm going to be honest with you, Mike. Things are a little shallow at defensive tackle. Obviously, the question with Jalen Carter, look, Cansey is there. He's proven the tape's there. The tape's great. He's my A1A guy at defensive tackle. That being said, the weight and the height are kind of an issue. Now, I know we've talked about the Aaron Donald comp. I don't think that's really a fair comparison to expect Cansey to come in here and kind of just give that. But he could. Maybe not Aaron Donald's level, but he does bring that pass rushing prowess that is so that is so highly sought after in today's NFL. You know, Mike, I've heard you talk about it. If you generate pressure up the middle, you can just ruin a quarterback's day. You get his timing off, and that is a highly coveted skill here in the NFL. But it's at 6, Mike. It's too early for Cansey, and I don't like to say it, but I just feel it is. It's too much risk there. I look at taking Cansey at 6 as about on the same page as taking a Richardson at 6. It's kind of, I don't want to say boom or bust necessarily, because I think Cansey has proven through his college tape that he's there. It just feels too rich for my blood. I think somewhere within those 2 picks, you got to take a shot at defensive tackle. Love Kaminsky, love Bugs. I know some of you guys are high on Mozzie Smith. I think we already have our Mozzie Smith and Aleem McNeil. But if I had to shoot at 6 and 18, personally, I'd go defense with both picks. Obviously, one of them defensive tackle. The second one, probably corner. I know we shored up our room, but
That's
A
all
couple
right.
of these guys, yeah.
Brad Holmes, in a couple of interviews, has said that he believes that there are 6 blue chip prospects in this draft. He didn't say who they were or anything like that, but I think that we are less than 5 players away. I don't think that we need 5 players to put this team over. I think that we could fully go in with the roster that we have right now and win 10 to 12 games without drafting. Now, I think that Brad's going into this draft and he's looking that if there's an opportunity for him to get 2 of these blue chip prospects, that he's going to do what it takes. And you're going to see him, maybe we may only pick twice in the first 3 rounds, but we're going to get 2 of those guys. I believe that he's trying to maneuver it, and depending on how the draft falls to what happens at 6, because I don't think that we're going to trade up from 6.